Our thoughts and prayers continue to be with Damar Hamlin and his family. And on today's podcast, I want to discuss what we have learned, the response, and what I'm personally doing in the aftermath of the situation.
You are Locked On Bills, your daily Buffalo Bills podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Bills Mafia? It's Joe Marino from the Draft Network, and I'm your host of Locked On Bills. Today's episode is brought to you by Ultimate Football GM. Have you ever dreamed of becoming an NFL GM and managing your football franchise? Then this game is definitely for you. To download the game, just visit ultimate-gm.com or look it up in the app stores. Our listeners get a 100% free boost to their franchise when using promo code LOCKEDON in the game. Well, folks, I'm recording this podcast on Tuesday afternoon, and it's been a tough day. I've felt very unorganized, scatterbrained. It's been hard to be productive, and I'm sure the same is true for many of you. Doing this podcast right now is not easy, and the reason I want to do it is because I want to continue being with you as we all process everything. And so today, I want to focus on three things. First of all, what we have learned. Number two, some thoughts about the response. And then I want to share what I am personally doing in response to Damar Hamlin's situation. So let's start with what we have learned. And I want to share, first of all, what the Buffalo Bills shared late Monday night into Tuesday morning. It was available when we woke up. They said Damar Hamlin suffered a cardiac arrest following a hit in our game versus the Bengals. His heartbeat was restored on the field, and he was transferred to the UC Medical Center for further testing and treatment. He is currently sedated and listed in critical condition. We got an update at 2 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesday from the Buffalo Bills on Damar Hamlin's status. It was Damar Hamlin spent last night in the intensive care unit and remains there today in critical condition at the University of Cincinnati Medical Center. So that's the official updates that we've had on Damar Hamlin's situation. As far as the game, which feels so unimportant because it is unimportant, the NFL has shared that the game against the Bengals will not be resumed this week, and that the Week 18 slate is expected to be played as scheduled. So that means that this Bills-Bengals game won't happen this week, and the Bills are going to play the Patriots at 1 p.m. on Sunday afternoon. As for the Bills and Bengals game, which obviously has big implications on playoff seeding, I guess they're going to figure that out at a later time. I know it's probably a very challenging thing to figure out. You don't want to give any team any type of advantage or disadvantage based on this situation. And so I'm sure the teams, the league, will all be in communication on what the right thing to do about that is. But we don't have an answer yet as to what will happen with this Bills and Bengals game. And so I'm sure a lot of this is probably the necessity to get more time to sort it out and come up with the right answer to that. But this is what we know as of now. And I have to do an ad read next, and I know that this is very difficult right now to kind of sort through stuff like this, but I am thankful to our sponsors and, giving us the opportunity to be here. So if you will, I am very excited about our new partner and sponsor of today's podcast, the mobile game Ultimate Football GM. If you've ever dreamed of becoming an NFL GM and managing your football franchise, well, your dream can come true, and this game is definitely for you. You manage every strategic aspect of your game. You play through the season and lead your team to glory. You are responsible for hiring the right coaches and coordinators, trading players, making draft picks, navigating your franchise through free agency and the draft. And, of course, with all the ups and downs of a season, all of this comes in a challenging and realistic game world. Ultimate Football GM is completely free and playable offline, on the go, as you want, and when you want to. We actually have a league for Locked On hosts, and it's been really fun. I've heard a lot of listeners have signed up and have really enjoyed it. In fact, Locked On Bills listeners can get a 100% free boost to their franchise when using the promo code Locked On in the game store. That's Locked On, so make sure to check it out today. To download the game, just visit ultimate-gm.com or look it up on the app stores. That's ultimate-gm.com. Ultimate Football GM. Start your dynasty today. As we've had a little time for this to breathe since Monday night, I'm left thinking a lot about the response both in the moment and since. Obviously, when the hit happened and Damar collapsed on the field, it was very significant. And I mean, the guy had CPR on the field. He was an AED machine was used on him, and I think you have to give a lot of credit to the medical staffs that collaborated to treat Damar in a really tough situation, right? The eyes of the nation are watching you on television. You've got, 60, 70,000 people in the stands, and you have to be sharp and able to treat a human being in a life or death situation. And those people are heroes. Those people are real life heroes. And it sounds like between the two medical staffs and the treatment that Damar has received at the hospital in Cincinnati, based on the statement that his family released, it sounds like everyone's done a wonderful job. And so first and foremost, I wanted to acknowledge that. Secondly, the coaches and the players. Obviously, it's just an incredibly difficult situation. It was tough to watch. It was for me. I'm sure it was for you. It was my wife and my brother. We were watching the game together, and I've never seen visuals like that. I've never seen players and coaches and people have to sort through that moment, right? Just a terrifying moment, right? That's what it was. Terrifying. And to see everybody come together, to see Zach Taylor or Sean McDermott and both teams step up and say, we're not playing. The show doesn't go on. This man's life is bigger than football, and nobody can play football right now. I think that was big. Obviously an unprecedented situation. But for those teams to come together and say no, I think that matters a lot. Those visuals will be with me forever. I'm sure they will you as well. Very difficult to watch. I'm sure even more difficult to be there. And so I just think there's a lot of good and praise worthy to these humans, coaches, players, for navigating a very, very difficult situation. Next up, the fans. You've seen great unity throughout of course, Bills fans and Bengals fans, but just all of the fans. Such a great sense of community, togetherness, unity. I've loved seeing it. I mean, whether it's just really encouraging words or the efforts that have been out there to support Damar Hamlin's GoFundMe, it's been awesome to see. The root of why is terrible, but the response has been nice to see. Speaking of the GoFundMe, you can find this. It's the Chasing M's Foundation Community Toy Drive. And this was an initiative that Damar Hamlin started to have a toy drive for his community, but also it has now turned into an opportunity for people to support his initiatives and his current fight. Over $4.5 million in donations as of the recording of this podcast just after 3 o'clock on Tuesday afternoon. It's awesome to see. It's awesome to see people rally and support Damar and his initiatives after this. And you're seeing other fan bases, other players on other teams help drive this home as well. And I don't take that lightly. I think that's something to be celebrated as we reflect on the response. I know it was a tough scene for a lot of people, seeing fans of both teams going to the hospital and getting together for prayer outside. You know, Steph Diggs going back to the hospital, Zach Taylor. Just a really, really good display of leadership from a lot of people. And that encourages me, and it's just good to see. It's just good to see. As a small business owner or hiring manager, you know that success in 2023 all depends on the team members you surround yourself with, and that's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. With LinkedIn Jobs, you can hire qualified candidates more efficiently by matching open roles with people who have the skills, values, and experiences to help you achieve your goals. LinkedIn Jobs helps you quickly find and attract qualified candidates to your open jobs with targeting tools. They go beyond resume data by using insights from your job post, company, and their 875 million member profiles to put your post in front of the most qualified candidates. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. I want to close out today's podcast by sharing what I'm doing, what I've done already in response to this Damar Hamlin situation, which was obviously just terrifying and just hard to watch and process. The man collapsed on the field, needed CPR, needed an AED machine. Now he's in intensive care in the hospital. I had a pretty similar situation happen to me. I would guess 8 or 9 years ago, I was on a rec league basketball team, and one of my teammates collapsed on the court. He got a rebound, passed the ball, and collapsed. Really, really scary scene. I remember feeling helpless. I thought I was going to watch a friend pass away right there on the basketball court. And this was a big basketball facility. I would guess there was 5 or 6 full basketball courts in there, and bleachers. There's games going on in every court, and there were people in the stands. I would guess there was several hundred people in the facility. There was one person there that knew how to do CPR. One. And they were able to assist my friend, my teammate, with CPR, and then the ambulance came and they used an AED machine, and he got through it. I mean, it was a very, very challenging, difficult, tough situation. I remember how I felt in the moment. And he came through. He came through, and he was a healthy guy. I mean, he was, I guess, in his 50s, maybe late 40s. He collapsed. He needed CPR. He needed an AED machine to save his life. Since then, I've worked a lot with communities in my previous lines of work. And one thing that I've really been passionate about is making sure that in any community that I worked with, whether it was a community pool or a community gym, I pushed for an AED machine to be in every single facility. But the piece of the pie that I don't think I've done a good enough job with was the CPR piece. And I've always wanted to become CPR certified. And I recently learned about 3 months ago that the community that I live in, Concord, North Carolina, offers CPR certification. So what you do is if you can get 6 confirmed people together, they will come to any location at any time and put on a 2-hour class, and you will become CPR certified at the end of it. And so in my neighborhood that I live in Concord, North Carolina, I've already, I would guess at least 15 or 20 people have already signed up to become CPR certified. And I'm not sharing that to edify myself or anything like that. I'm sharing that because having more people that can step in situations can save lives. I mean, the seconds matter in these critical moments. And as a father, I have my daughter turns 3 this month. I hope to have more kids in the future. And as somebody who's firsthand seen this to a teammate that watched what I watched on Monday, I want to be able to help in those critical moments. And I can't help if I don't know what to do. And I don't have a clue as to what to do, but I'm going to find out. And we have already put together a group, and we're going to pick the time and location very, very soon and get this taken care of. And I hope that you will feel inspired to find out how you can get CPR certified in your own community, and that you will learn about what an AED machine is and make sure that you are passionate about having that available in places that you go, because it can save lives. We've seen it. I've now seen it happen a couple of times. You're probably listening to this and saying, yeah, I've seen that too. So again, I'm not trying to celebrate myself. That's not me at all. I'm trying to create an awareness here about the significance of CPR, the significance of an AED machine, and hopefully inspiring people to get CPR certified, get AED machines around, and understand how to do these things, because it can save lives. And there's no reason to put it off. There's no time like right now to figure that out. So I hope that your communities have the same types of opportunities available for you, because it can save somebody's life. And I don't want to be in that situation ever again, where I can't even describe the scene. I don't really want to describe the scene, but just knowing that I felt helpless, and thankfully there was one person in there that could help this man. Tough subject matter, guys. This is not comfortable for me at all. but I want to be here. I want to go through this with you guys. And hopefully something I said today was helpful for you. Hopefully you'll want to get CPR certified. Hopefully you'll learn about AED machines. And of course, our thoughts, best wishes, prayers, support, everything we have can be funneled towards Damar Hamlin, his family in that situation. And we'll talk about what we learn, as updates become available. We'll cover it on the podcast for sure. Sounds like the Bills are going to play the Patriots on Sunday. And so I guess we'll try our best to get ready for that game the rest of the week here. We'll see what information comes out. I'm not making any promises. I don't know. But as we have things to talk about, we'll get to them here on this podcast. Again, it's all about Damar Hamlin, his health. That's the most important thing right now. And I know that all of us feel very strange about this whole thing. But hopefully we can continue to rally as a community, continue to extend our support, and be mindful of what we can do as humans to help people in situations that inevitably continue to come up in society. All right, folks, that's it for today. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to catching up with you again tomorrow.